Nigeria jumps to second position with more medals at the 12th African Games in Morocco. Good evening and welcome to Network News at 9. We're live in Abuja, Nigeria, broadcasting on Africa's largest TV network, NTA. I'm Rhoda Anonem. Reading with me tonight from Lagos is Ingino John Adams, and Ogochukwu Kaona is reading from Benin. We begin Network News tonight from Yokohama, Japan, where Nigeria has made a strong case for prospective Japanese investors to visit, explore the abundant as well as very attractive investment opportunities in the country, assuring them of highest returns on such investments. President Muhammadu Buhari issued the formal invitation while addressing participants at the ongoing Tokyo International Conference on African Development in Yokohama, Japan. State House correspondent Adamu Sambu has details.
It was the third plenary session of TCAT 7 on public-private business dialogue attended by heads of state and government, captains of industry, as well as outstanding businessmen and women from Japan and Africa. It is in furtherance of the unwavering commitment of the Japanese government towards enhancing trade and investment between Africa and Japan. President Muhammadu Buhari said the forum is holding at an opportune moment when Nigeria, faced with numerous challenges affecting its economy, is implementing homegrown and private sector-driven economic measures predicated on good governance, infrastructure and human capital development, as well as business climate reform.
Our government has put in place measures seeking to diversify the economy by developing agriculture, emphasizing on manufacturing and addressing the energy and infrastructure deficit. With these, we shall be placing Nigeria on the path of rapid growth and sustainable development.
Nigeria and indeed Africa, he said, expect much from the TCAT Forum, considering the role of foreign direct investment in the economies of both developed and the developed countries. President Buhari said his administration has identified important sectors that are considered priority areas that will drive the nation's economic agenda.
Japanese investors are therefore invited to invest in the following priority sectors in Nigeria, namely power and renewable energy, petrochemical and gas, maritime shipping and ports, automobiles, mining, agribusiness, healthcare and pharmaceuticals, ICT and railway. Nigeria has very attractive investment opportunities with some of the highest returns on investment.
The federal government, the president said, is committed to removing all impediments to private sector participation in those sectors by creating policies that will ensure consistency, predictability and a level playing field. He said already a presidential committee has been established to promote ease of doing business and make Nigeria more attractive and competitive for investment. Some members of the Nigerian delegation to the conference give their impressions.
Most of the aid from these organizations here from Japan have been going to East Africa, and it's because of the attitude from West Africa. We're not being aggressive. You can't just sit at home and expect people to be throwing money at you. You have to show interest, that you're interested in aid, you want to work with the Japanese company. So for the president to be here is showing seriousness on his part.
When I look at all of the benefits in the last 2-3 days that we started, it speaks to my own economic agenda. We can harness all the contact, all the opportunities that are available, right, and take them back home and be able to say to our people, our thoughts are also part of the global thoughts.
We are looking for support from the Japanese government in terms of creating jobs, especially in the areas of technical and vocational education, so that the teeming youths roaming around Maiduguri and its environs and other local government areas shall be engaged, thereby reducing the high unemployment rate, which consequently entails reducing the insurgency in general.
In the meantime, in furtherance of the existing bonds of friendship and economic cooperation between Nigeria and Japan, discussions are ongoing on the establishment of a joint business facilitation council soon to be launched in Abuja, aimed at enhancing trade and investment between the two countries. From Yokohama, Japan, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
And still in Japan, Nigeria and Japan have resolved to work more closely together towards enhancing the highly beneficial relations between the two countries in critical economic sectors for the benefit of their people. This was the outcome of a high-level talks between President Muhammadu Buhari and Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe on the margins of Tokyo International Conference on African Development in Yokohama. State House correspondent Adamu Samba reports that President Buhari in particular sought the support of Japan in combating piracy and other acts of criminality in the Gulf of Guinea.
During the high-level engagement between President Muhammadu Buhari and the Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe, more areas of collaboration and cooperation were discussed as part of efforts towards boosting existing relations, as explained by Foreign Affairs Minister Geoffrey Onyema.
The President, talked about the challenges that Nigeria is facing, the terrorist challenges, the support of Japan through the UN with the humanitarian challenges that we have, and invited Japan to invest more in Nigeria, particularly in the automobile sector, and with the possibility of building assembly plants for some of the Japanese made car products. The Japanese Prime Minister, promised to continue to support, Nigeria in the terrorist and security challenges that we're facing in the country, and and would also look into greater investment within Nigeria by Japanese companies.
Prime Minister Abe, who commended the Buhari administration for taking Nigeria to the next level, pledged a $300,000 support for Nigeria's Defense College, as well as 12 million yen for the country's public health sector. The rising tensions on the Korean Peninsula and the reform of the United Nations were also analyzed as Japan solicited Nigeria's support for its candidates to the International Court of Justice and the Universal Postal Union. Meanwhile, a memorandum of understanding has been signed between Nigeria and the European Union Commission. This was when a delegation from the Commission, led by the Commissioner for International Affairs, visited President Muhammadu Buhari in Yokohama. The European Union had a package of 512 million euros to assist Nigeria in various sectors of the economy, including health, education, and power supply, which is now being increased by 50 million euros. Bulk of the money will be devoted towards addressing prevailing security and humanitarian challenges in the Northeast, particularly Borno State.
The President gave an overview of the situation in the Northeast and the challenges being faced in the Northeast, and welcomed very much this support from the European Commission. And he indicated that this would also fit in and complement a lot of work and investment that's going into supporting that part of the country.
I'm so much delighted and overwhelmed. The Northeast Nigeria, and in particular Borno State, has been receiving a tremendous support from the EU. The Borno package is one of the EU grant to Borno State, which was signed last 2 years. It is an ongoing project. I'm happy to note that additional 50 million euro is just added now. It's just being added now to the existing funding, and I think this will go a long way in ensuring that the resilience of the community is being enhanced.
President Muhammadu Buhari's engagements in Yokohama, Japan, continue. From Yokohama, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
Also, President Muhammadu Buhari has met with leaders of the Nigerian community in Japan. He described as unacceptable the impact of the actions of some Nigerians on the image of the country and pleaded with them to change their ways. He says the values of the Nigerian nation are not in any way represented by the few citizens indulging in criminal activities abroad. State House correspondent Adam Musambo has more details.
President Muhammadu Buhari told his audience that Nigerians in the diaspora, as the face of Nigeria globally, must remain the nation's ambassadors for good.
We will not condone any crime, whether at home or abroad, and we will also not allow these Nigerians define us as a people with reputation for criminality.
He described as pleasing that there are millions of Nigerians all over the world who are truly making Nigeria proud, having excelled in various fields of endeavor, both professionally and individually.
I call on you and encourage you to continue to contribute your quota by helping to develop your host country and Nigeria. Japan is at the cutting edge of technology and efficiency. Collectively, your resources, skills, and talents will be a positive force for our country, which can help accelerate our national growth and development.
President Buhari made a case for Nigerians in Japan.
The future is here, and today is the right time for the youth of the country to take up the challenge of building a greater nation. From the International Conference Center in Abuja, Jide Onifade, NT News.
The federal government has assured Nigerians that the country would not lose any of its assets with the $9.6 billion judgment against Nigeria. This was part of a submission of the Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, on NTA's Good Morning Nigeria. Olusheye Adiagbo has details.
The August 16, 2019 judgment of a London court authorizing a foreign company, Process and Industrial Development Limited, P&ID, to seize $9.6 billion in Nigerian assets over a breached contract by the company and the Ministry of Petroleum Resources, signed in 2010. The development that has dominated major discourse.
Experts all over the world have agreed that this is justifiable.
Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, on Good Morning Nigeria, re-emphasized federal government stand over the matter as he corrects wrong interpretation by a section of the media.
You see, arbitration is supposed to be restitution. It's supposed to restitute. It's not supposed to give you what would have made you over 20 years. And this is why we are leaving no stone unturned to ensure that this judgment is set aside. And again, I want to take the opportunity to assure Nigerians that there's absolutely no imminent threat to seizure of assets, because even the UK court said that they cannot begin any attachment until the courts are back and there will be further hearing on the matter.
Lai Mohammed, who described the judgment over a botched contract as unfair to Nigeria, also explains strategy the country is applying to seek in for a stay of execution of the decision.
You don't inflict this kind of injury on the country and its people for your own selfish reasons. But like I said, please, the government is doing everything possible, one, to get a safe execution, and also to, set aside this award. But of course, at the end of the day, we'll sit down with P&ID and, arrive at something that we think is reasonable for all the parties.
The Information and Culture Minister adds that President Muhammadu Buhari has ordered the Economic Financial Crimes Commission, the National Intelligence Agency, and the Inspector General Police to conduct a thorough investigation into the matter.
Also, the Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, has called on members of the National Union of Road Transport Workers to support the federal government's effort to rid the highways of violent crimes. The minister made the call at the 9th Quadrennial Conference of the Union in Abuja. Anthony Forson reports.
while calling on members of the union to support government's efforts in putting in place measures to tackle the challenge of insecurity on the nation's highways, the minister said the call has become imperative.
Your most important role of conveying people and goods and services across the country has in no small measure fostered national unity, enhanced trade and commercial activity across the country, and ultimately boosted the economy.
Lai Mohammed, however, acknowledged the challenges the union has gone through due to infrastructural decay, especially in the area of roads, and insecurity on the highways, commended their resilience in keeping faith with the present government under President Muhammadu Buhari.
Specifically, support the government in the fight against insecurity by providing timely information to the security agencies, particularly on all the black spots on the nation's highways. Your members cross the length and breadth of the vast nation, and collectively, you have great access to information that can help to make our road and our country safer.
Already, the minister maintained that the 150 million presidential infrastructural fund is aimed at accelerating the ongoing construction work on the second Niger Bridge, Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, East-West Road, Abuja-Kano Expressway, and the Mambila Hydroelectricity Project. There were goodwill messages to the conference, all targeted at encouraging the union to embrace modern transportation techniques as is obtainable around the world. The outgoing national president of the union spoke on lessons of his 8 years tenure.
Those I'm leaving behind is to learn from the services that I rendered for the organization. If I emulate it and build upon it, the union should grow beyond what I left it.
A new leadership to run the affairs of the union is expected to emerge at the end of the conference. In Abuja, Anthony Forson, NTA News.
Government and customers-induced constraint, infrastructural and human resources, as well as passport supply chain management problems are some of the findings from a research carried out by the Bureau of Public Service Reforms on the offices of the Nigerian Immigration Service nationwide. This was revealed at a lunchtime reform seminar for public service providers in Abuja. Adebola Brooksling Sunday has details.
It is an established fact that for international migration to take place, the sending and receiving states, including the migrants, must be involved in the process. This is where the Nigeria Immigration Service and various migration policies play a role. How to tackle and correct these identified challenges informed the convergence of these talk heads from all ministries, departments and agencies as they examine the roles, responsibilities, innovation and bottlenecks in service delivery. Director General of the Bureau and convener of the seminar, Dansuki Arabi, reeled out recommendations made after their findings.
Link all birth registration centers in Nigeria to Immigration Data Bank. The role of technical partners in the process of e-passport must be reviewed. Use of modern electronic devices for proper queuing management based on first in, first served must be put in place.
For the Controller General, Mohammed Babandede, without competent staff with social and emotional intelligence, efficient service delivery will continue to be a challenge.
It's a professional institution where we issue passport, we issue document, we do border patrol. If the officer has HND, he can do patrol better. He can issue passport better. Is he not better than a PhD holder who cannot do it in immigration?
The seminar is aimed at enlightening public servants on policies and programs of government and its implementation. Adebola Brooksling Sunday, NTA News.
The Inspector General of Police, Muhammad Adamu, has instructed the Commissioners of Police, Taraba State Command, to fish out killers of Reverend Father David Tanko, who was murdered by unknown gunmen in the early hours of today at Kakmanfu village along Wakari Road on his way to Kofa Amadu village in Taraba State. A statement, the IGP condoled the Catholic family in Nigeria over the unfortunate incident and expressed concerns over the recent incidents of attacks on clergymen in some parts of the country. He directed commissioners of police in all states of the Federation and the Federal Capital Territory to henceforth pay special attention to clergymen and increase security around worship centers nationwide. Meanwhile, the IGP enjoins the people to be calm and give maximum support to the police in a bid to unraveling the authors of the crime. Refugees, migrants and internally displaced persons in Nigeria are set for an improved care in the next level dispensation with the creation of the Office of the Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development and the acceleration of the commissioner to that of a Minister. Momso Damian Dati reports.
Disasters, either natural or man-made, are said to be inevitable, and that explains why provisions are made to handle emergencies occasioned by such happenings. In Nigeria, the National Commission for Refugees, Migrants and Internally Displaced Persons has been attending to people in these categories, wherein the 4 years supported them and even issued blue passports to restricted refugees and repatriated Nigerian refugees from Cameroon. All these were overseen by this woman, Sadia Omar Farouk. Now elevated to Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, she is to still oversee her old agencies and others under the new ministry.
Cover the settlement of internally displaced persons and the coordination of migration. Provides durable solution to our persons of concern, including refugees, asylum seekers, our returning migrants, internally displaced persons, and sometimes even the stateless persons.
It was with mixed feelings that the staff of the commission at the headquarters bidded farewell to Sadia Umar Farouk to the next level. Momso Damian Dati, NTA News.
Guests on NTA's current affairs program Moments for Thought say women are major beneficiaries of the present government's developmental programs, especially through the empowerment and social intervention program. This, they say, will be consolidated in the next level agenda for overall growth.
Get farm implements for women. Women cooperative groups will get agri loans.
If you don't power the women, either at the family level or whatever level, you cannot get the best. The security architecture of this country needs to factor women.
The program comes up tonight at 11:30 on the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority. Ingino John Adams is in Lagos for more reports on the news tonight.
Thank you, Rhoda, and welcome to Lagos. 60% of the 50 engineers that took part in the Smart Electrical Engineering training organized by the Nigerian Content Development and Monitoring Board, NCDMB, have secured employment placements. Executive Secretary of NCDMB, Simbi Wabote, stated this at the certificate presentation ceremony in Lagos. Michael Olale completes the report.
Simbiwa Bote said 4 of the engineers who secured international placements with BIC Electric now work in Europe, while other successful participants got employments in Nigeria. Wabote stated that NCDMB has now adopted a 60-20-20 model for human capital development, thereby 60% of the trainers put in extra efforts that guarantee jobs for the participants.
We at NCDMB hope that other organizations will take a cue from this noble event to create a unique model for their human capacity development programs. We are willing to work with other oil and gas service providers with a well thought out training programs in fulfillment of our mandate.
General Manager, Lagos Energy Academy, Leki Adegbola, said the 6 months training was conducted in collaboration with Siemens and other international power companies. The participants commended the training, knowledge and mentoring they received in the course of the training.
Before, I was an engineer with a certificate, but I didn't know other things. If I was sent to the field, I didn't know what to do. But this opportunity came, and today I'm proud to say that I'm a solar engineer.
And I've had 1 or 2 experience before, but coming here, I was exposed to a lot of things probably I would have overlooked.
The training is part of NCDMB's commitment to building and promoting local capabilities for economic growth. In Lagos, Michael Olale, NT News.
The Federal High Court in Lagos has discharged and acquitted a former senior special advisor to former President Goodluck Jonathan on domestic affairs, Waripamo Owe Dudafa, and a banker, Joseph Iwejo, who were charged with 1.6 billion naira fraud by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC. Abolore Ogbara has details of this and other proceedings at the court.
At the Federal High Court in Lagos, Mohammed Idris said he finds it difficult to convict the ex-president's aide and the banker because the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission failed to prove the charges against them beyond reasonable doubts. In his judgment, Justice Idris said that the EFCC failed to call vital witnesses. Justice Idris dismissed the entire 22-count charge. Meanwhile, former Minister of Petroleum Resources, Desiani Alisi Madueke, has urged the Federal High Court in Lagos to order the return of 2,149 pieces of jewelry and a customized gold iPhone, valued at $40 million, which were seized by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC. The EFCC had said it believes the jewelries are proceeds of suspected unlawful activities and money laundering. The application was filed by Awakalu SAN, but the EFCC counsel, Rotimi Oyedepo, informed the court that he had just been served counter-affidavit by the defense counsel and he would need time to respond, and therefore asked for adjournment. The defense counsel also told the court that they would appreciate adjournment. Justice Owebo adjourned further hearing to the 2nd of September 2019 in Lagos. Abolore Ogbara, NT News.
This is NTA Network News. More reports after this commercial break. Please stay with us.
Now me I go ask and say, why all of us go pay 100,000 naira? Second, say your husband, he won't do 70th birthday. She now all of us marry them together. When her mama die, she collects money. Her papa die, she collects money. Her mama die, she collects. You remember when she talked, say she wanted her mama dead body. Mama, you too talk. Now you be glad when they dash me credit anyhow. Imagine, 40-year-old dead body. Why they laugh now? Now true, I better bring your money. Mama, no laugh. Not be you, Jare. Now some apropos customer there when they know they mind their own business. Whoa, I never even begin to give you her gist.
Glow and Maple. Get 5 times your recharge to call all networks. Recharge with *555*PIN#.
Make her sell my market finish first, eh? I will call you back. Oh.
Glow Unlimited.
Yeah, Mom, you are extraordinary. You always go the extra mile to make sure my breakfast is made with extra nutritious Milo. I want to say a big thank you. You are extra precious and extra super.
Milo is thanking moms for being extraordinary by giving the family an extra 50 grams of delicious Milo for every 500-gram pouch bought. Don't miss out. Offer valid while stocks last.
Milo. Young boy, show me what you got. Young girl, show me what you got. Come on, okay. Too much money. Too much money.
With just 200 naira or 500 naira, anyone can become a big man in the Better Life Billionaire promo. Simply visit blbpromo.com or dial *5453#. Or if you're an MTN user, you can text BLB to 5453. Better Life Billionaire promo for the better life.
Relieve tooth sensitivity with Sensodyne Daily Care 40 milliliters for just 350 naira only.
Sensitivity is a short, sharp pain that people experience when they have something hot or cold getting to the nerve of the tooth. Dentists recommend Sensodyne. It's able to calm the nerve of the tooth.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Prince, did you hear that?
Of course I did. That is village master tune.
Eh? So Auntie Amebo was not gossiping then?
Village master is celebrating 50 years.
50? Already? This is not a joke. Oh.
It is a national celebration. NTA and Village Master family are commemorating 50 years.
Hey, Prince, tell me, when is our golden jubilee?
It is from the 8th to 11th of October, 2019.
I have to go and get ready. It's time to party.
Women. But we, men, will be there too.
You're welcome back. Completion of ongoing mass housing projects nationwide to guarantee affordable shelter for more Nigerians is a priority of the Works and Housing Ministry for the next level. Works and Housing Minister Babatunde Fashola has therefore directed the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria to increase access to housing loans for low-income earners. Mitari Ikben reports.
Affordable housing is one of the basic necessities of life that still eludes many Nigerians. This is why the Buhari administration embarked on a nationwide mass housing scheme in 33 pilot states that made land available. Works and Housing Minister Babatunde Fashola is focusing on completing the various mass housing projects, but does not want the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria to lag behind in service delivery.
I find myself having to explain that its interests are much more competitive than the interests commercial banks offer. And people say they don't know. Seek to reach the people at the bottom of the pyramid. They save money in their small cooperatives, in their small associations. So why can't you open accounts for them too, to contribute to the pool of funding from which they can then leverage, borrow, either to rent or to buy houses?
The management of the bank is putting its house in order to fulfill its mandate.
We are lacking in the sense that we have inherited a deficit of 5 years in lack of presentation audit report. We have since covered several years. I think we have over 2 more years to go. We promise you that before the end of this year, we might be able to present everything to the office.
The Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria is currently working at improving its capital base. In Abuja, Mitari Ikben, NTA News.
One of the leading communications service providers in Nigeria, MTN, has launched an easy, fast and convenient financial transaction service in Abuja. The innovation is a strategy to accelerate financial inclusion across the country. Oinaya Kalu Oka reports.
Leveraging on MTN's extensive distribution network, Momo Agent Service is designed to create avenues for Nigerians in any part of the country to easily make financial transactions in their neighborhood.
In remote areas, in rural and suburban areas that do not have access, that struggle or that have to travel far distances to get to a bank branch or to get to an ATM, then you need a Momo Agent Service because we would bridge that gap for you.
With this scheme, operators say the fear of fraud is addressed as measures are put in place to checkmate it.
We have built safety within the product itself to ensure that our customers are protected. We do not underestimate or do we take lightly the issue of fraud.
Besides easy and safe financial transactions, the scheme has opened up employment opportunities to about 500,000 agents across the country and also facilitating businesses in rural and urban areas.
For you to be an agent that delivers financial services, it is required that one, you operate from a fixed structure to ensure that it's somebody who has a BVN that has been registered and its details are known that can be onboarded as an agent.
We also solicit your further support in driving this new innovation into the Nigerian market, which is going to be also a product that is going to enhance their lives.
With the payoff line Save, Fast and No Wahala, Momo Agent Service is one of the schemes under the MTN's Yellow Digital Services approved by the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN. Oyinaya Kaloka, NTA News.
For more reports, we'll now join Ogochukwuka Ona in Benin.
Thank you, Rhoda. Good evening. Edo State government has expressed its readiness to collaborate with the Democratic Republic of Congo in its quest to tackle sickle cell anemia in that country. To this end, the Congolese ambassador to Nigeria, Jackie Obinza, has led a delegation from Congo to the state on a fact-finding mission. Buloke Naini reports. The delegation is in Benin City to make adequate preparations to understudy and adopt successful medical technique to assist the country fight the disease it described as a huge burden. With about 25% to 30% of traits in general population, the collaboration with the Edo State government also includes Professor Nosahari Bazwaye, a hematologist who has successfully carried out 9 stem cell transplants so far and 3 more ongoing. Governor Godwin Obaseki, receiving the delegation at the government house, revealed that the state is always pleased to support a worthy cause.
And the least we can do is to support these efforts. It doesn't matter to us whether it is public or private. So for us as a government, we don't, there's no segregation.
We have the same challenges in that sector. We wanted to create conditions for more cooperation. In 2011, we had actually performed the first stem cell transplantation in Nigeria, where we converted a 7-year-old child who has sickle cell from SS to AA.
Reports say in Nigeria, about 3% of the population is affected by the medical condition, and career prevalence is about 20 to 30%. The state government is working with security agencies on the safe release of the chief medical director of IRA Specialist Teaching Hospital, Professor Silvanus Okubeni, who was kidnapped by gunmen in Benin City. Governor Godwin Obaseki was speaking when he received some staff of the hospital at the government house. Goodluck Naini reports.
The governor describes the incident as unfortunate and says government is in touch with security agencies in and around the state on the matter. Meanwhile, the Nigerian Medical Association Edo State chapter, in a press briefing, has given a 72-hour ultimatum to government for the CMD to return or the down tools.
What is needful must be done. We pray our
they talk to. Before you